Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, remember to hit that bell for notifications for when we drop new videos.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Boogeyman Radio. Man,
Hey.
what a week, man. It's been a good one.
It has been a good one. It's been a great week. I mean,
It's been a great week to be outdoors, like no rain.
I know. God, finally. Except we had some storms Saturday and Sunday, but that's fine. Night. Not too bad. Could be worse.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, today was a great day for riding, but nope.
yeah, I spent, let's see, like Thursday, Addie and I went out fishing. First
Nice.
time this year we went fishing, so that was nice. It was lovely. And then Saturday night, after work, my boss and I, we went kayaking, went out on the lake.
Nice.
Yeah. And then today, right after work, went out on the river. Tried to finally got to put my kayak into the water, make sure it floated. It floats.
Well, I
So,
thank God, because we've got, what, 12 days? No, not
Yeah.
12 days. Jeez. 12 days until Carpenter's Mortuary, but we'll get to that later.
actually less
crazy.
than 12 days. No, yeah, no, you're right.
It's 12 days. Today's the 10th.
I was thinking of a different event that I was doing this weekend. Woo!
Game camp map today. It's fine.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, everybody. Good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here.
That's so funny. But yeah, no, it was a good week. Nothing, major really. I had a house sit Friday. Well, dog sit Friday. And then Saturday had some friends over. And yeah, Sunday was nice and chill. And then here we are on Monday. Feels like a darn Monday.
I don't know, man. For me, it's just been really relaxing this whole week.
Nice.
Been nice. Been really nice.
Yeah,
I
it
did
is
get a
really
lot
nice.
of editing done
Good.
earlier, like last weekend.
Well, I'll be ready for the 90-degree weather because that starts tomorrow.
We've already gotten that down here.
I'm not surprised.
I'll
But
drink
tomorrow is like there'll be a stretch of I think, like the rest of this week is supposed to be in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, summer is officially upon us, I guess.
tis. I'm not built for this weather.
I'm not built for this.
Neither is me riding a motorcycle built for this weather either. It's way too hot, personally. For me, it's too hot.
I'm sure, like, it's not so bad. Well, I guess if
Yeah.
you're putting on like a jacket or whatever
Yeah.
to ride and for
Yeah.
protection, it gets
Wearing
pretty damn warm.
jeans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can go with assless chaps.
No.
It's always an
That's
option.
It's not gonna happen. Definitely not gonna happen. I don't need to give anybody a show.
Just
Show
leave your
they don't
dog
want.
out.
Yeah, they don't. The show they don't want. That's for sure. Plus, if I crash, that's horrible. That's asking for all sorts of trouble. No thanks. That would suck. But anyways, I am pretty excited for this week though. It should be a nice, easy week. I gotta get my car. I gotta get some maintenance done on my car. I think on Saturday, and then I think I have a pretty easy weekend. So
Nice. Good.
I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah.
Good. I've been releasing episodes of Haunting History in
Yes.
3D. So that's going really well. I guess somebody was
Good,
confused
good.
about. They thought I was going to just release the new season in 3D, but no, this is like leading up to the new
Yes.
season. So,
Jerry, I don't know if he answered, but Jerry did ask if you caught anything fishing wise.
when I took my daughter, no,
Video.
no, we didn't catch anything. It was kind of a crappy spot. It was hard to find a place because here's the problem on the river. like to get to the best places, you have to go into the river, you have to cross the river, you have to go walk the river, and all this other stuff. And I can't do that with her.
Would you say it was crappy or fishing for crappie?
Fishing for crappie. And the only other places that I could take her,
Couldn't help
like
myself.
there was a bunch of people already there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because they had a good spots.
Yeah.
Go figure.
So, yeah, I bought a couple new lures and tried them out today. Did pretty good. Did pretty good with them.
I would hope people would chuckle at that. I'm just saying, Jerry. That would be hilarious. No, I have yet to do any fishing, and it's sad. I don't, gotta have to have a fishing pole to do fishing. Mitch bought like a $20 pole from Walmart. He's like, "Oh man, this thing sucks." I'm like, "What do you expect? It's a $20 pole from Walmart." Like,
I know,
bruh.
Like, shit,
Come
just
on.
my rod was like, let's see, like on my bait caster, I think I spent like a little over $100.
Yeah, it's insane.
My spin cast, my spin reel.
But
Like,
for
I've
Mitch,
got-
who doesn't barely do any fishing, makes
I know.
sense.
It's like I always compare it to people that want to play guitar and then they buy
A
like
shitty
the
guitar.
cheapest freaking guitar they can. You're like, oh my god, I can't believe they were so expensive. Oh, this one's only $25. You're gonna get what you pay for.
What?
You
Are
get
those
what
even
you pay for.
strings? Is it plastic? Like,
It's not
what's
even
on
nylon.
that? It's
like
nylon
shoestring.
strings. Oh, you thought it was guitar? No, it's a violin.
Mhm.
You gotta...
Like you get what you pay for. So
Exactly. Same with drums. The drums the exact same way. You get
Yeah.
shitty heads.
yep,
Nobody likes shitty head.
nobody does. You just beat them.
Whoa!
You
think
beat
I need
the
your
crap
help?
out
I
of
can do
him.
this myself. If you
Oh,
name the movie, I'd be impressed.
Scary Movie 2.
Hey,
I
there
know
he
that one.
goes.
I
Yeah,
know
that's a
that
good
one.
one. That's a really good one. They just don't make them like they used to.
They do not. They do not.
No.
No. Yeah. You get what you pay for, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think you really have to buy a reel when you come down or anything. Like I'll let you use one of mine.
All right, that works. That works.
I have one that's great for the river and one that's
I'll make
great
sure
for
Mitch brings his $20 pole.
Yeah,
that
he
he'll
bought it. He's
have
gonna
to
use it.
Exactly. Koopsick though, if he comes down, I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. That's the whole thing right now. It's just I don't know. But we do got to reserve a spot here pretty soon.
Yep.
Like
Definitely.
very soon, and like floating things. What we're gonna be? Well, for me, I got to reserve what I'm gonna be floating in. Pretty
I
sure
don't
we're gonna do a canoe.
You can call them and ask them, but I don't know if you actually have to reserve those.
Oh, you just pay for it?
Yeah, you pay for it when you're there.
Okay. Well, I'd hope they don't run out.
We'll just get an inner tube and we'll push you
They do
down.
what they do. Yeah, right. Just get a freaking inner tube and just tie me to the back of your kayak.
Dude, they do that on the river, man.
I believe it. No, I would. I would totally do it. I just see. Where's my cooler gonna go, bro?
You're gonna be so burnt.
Oh yeah. I'm already anticipating that. I'm gonna be like a freaking bacon piece. Just
Do they make
flip me
SPF
over.
500?
Yeah, no kidding, dude.
SPF
sure.
ginger.
No, I'm gonna. So with this kayak though, I'm gonna bring my. So they make like umbrellas for lawn chairs, essentially.
Yeah.
Like little like the folding lawn chairs. I'm gonna bring my umbrella and attach it to the kayak. Just be floating down the river in style.
With the
my
little
guy.
umbrella. Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
I thought about wearing arm floaties.
Dude, I'm gonna so do it. Just be as weird and wild as possible.
Oh man. Oh. Today was a nice day to be on the river, I'll tell you that.
I bet.
The scenery was real nice.
I mean, the picture you sent me was really nice.
Mhm.
There was huge tracts of land.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. Oh God.
Oh man. Well, we know why you're here.
Not because to hear us ramble on about floating in lakes and freaking rivers and stuff like that, but
It's to see you in assless chaps.
apparently that's why everybody's here. God, I knew it. They all just want me for my body.
That's why we came. Oh.
Why does everybody want me to come? I don't want to.
Uncle Tommy's in the car. He's coming.
Those guys, just literal everything, literal. Anyways, we're only 12 minutes in. We can't do this. People won't watch us. They'll be like, "Oh God, this is ridiculous." Bye. Ashless chaps in my Valley Girl voice. Oh no.
Assless chops.
Assless chops.
He gets
That
out.
wasn't.
Can I get a canoe or a kayak?
Can I get a canoe or a kayak? Can I get a with the yak?
Kayak.
Kayak.
Oh,
You got any inner tubs? Inner tubs.
Tibbs.
Do you provide the stuff to inflate it, or do I have to inflate it myself? All right, I'm done. There you go, Cassie. That's all for you. There will be no laughter. What? What?
Just give me a rod down to the river.
I'm not even gonna touch that one. I'm not. Not even gonna get close to that comment. So, John Wilkes Booth, eh?
It was a great transition.
It was a great transition. I'm just, changing the subject. Keep it light.
John
Yeah,
Wilkes
just
Booth.
John Wilkes
How
Booth, eh?
about that John Wilkes Booth, huh?
Let the boots out. Yeah.
The guy can jump.
All right. So, I don't even know, man.
I don't know anymore.
I can't
That's it.
even
That's the end of the
process
show. Thank you
today.
guys for coming.
I really, it's been a Monday. It really has.
It's been a fun day.
Monday fun day. I wish my Mondays were fun days again. But they're not.
We'll make it fun again.
Oh, it's fun, all right. Don't get me wrong.
Let's get somebody needs to get you a shirt to wear on the river that says "Let's make Mondays fun again."
But we're not going to be there on Monday.
I know.
That's still
Nobody
a
else
great
has
shirt.
to know that.
That would be a great shirt.
The people on the river don't
is it
even
Monday?
need to know
Does
that.
this guy think it's Monday? What?
They'll be like, "Fuck yeah! Get him a drink."
Exactly, dude. I'm not gonna be able to pedal my boat.
Knock him out, pal. You boat.
Just. So on the 22nd, we got Carpenter's
Paddle your
Mortuary,
ass.
guys, for Midwest Mystery Tour. If you want to not see me in assless chaps and talking my Valley Girl voice, you should totally come to this event.
Oh, nobody's coming now.
Ah, sure.
Oh, damn it. What's up over there on Kick? We don't give them enough credit because somebody
We
keeps
don't.
dropping in. But
Dropping in,
What's up
dropping
over
out,
there?
dropping in, dropping out. Just like our YouTube followers, or not followers, but our watching.
Ooh. So yeah, like you were saying, June 22nd, guys.
Yep.
Midwest Mystery Tour, Carpenter's Mortuary in Gentry, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Get your tickets on Eventbrite.com.
Can't wait.
Do a search for Midwest Mystery Tour. You can find that and the Atchison investigation at McIntyre Villa, which is going to be on September 13th, Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
Of all
Friday
13th.
the 13th.
That's kind of cool, though, right?
Oh yeah,
Dude.
absolutely.
I'm going to put a black cat in there and just let it run around just so it freaks everybody out. Friday the 13th, black cat. Stage a broken mirror. Just to fuck with people.
That'd be hilarious.
Like, what is going on in this place?
Dude,
It's the Haunted Mansion.
I had a friend of mine, like, they had to send me an invite. What are you doing that day? Like, it was literally September 13th, and I was like, well, funny enough, I got an event that day. Oh, crap, I completely forgot. I'm like, well, that's on you for that.
Yeah. Where were you on that one,
Not my
dipshit?
fault. Well,
Was it his parents?
what?
Was it your parents?
No, it's not
Oh,
my
okay.
parents. It's one of our loyal listeners, actually.
No. Oh, listen. Where were you on that one, dipshit?
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here. No, it was
Teach my
funny. I just
sexy
laughed.
face.
Oh, you haven't shown that one in a long time.
Yeah,
Jeez.
sorry.
That's my picture. That's the picture of like John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes. That's not John Wilkes Booth. That's just my like the George and John Wilkes Booth like pictures next to each other. That's what it is. That's it for me right there. Except I look way better. Nobody could mistake this beautiful physique.
For this?
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Guys interrupted my video game.
You know what's so weird is he even has like the same glasses I had like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wait a minute.
It's so
Wait a minute.
weird. Just like make my screen big and then first off, my hair's not as long as it used to be. Chuck's Wilkes Booth, exactly. Oh, it's not the same, babe. It's in the middle. Of
I know.
Oh wait, this way. Wait, hold on.
You go. You like that look?
Did you have a stroke? What the? Did I have a stroke just then? I don't know. Dude.
You're turning violet, Violet.
It's because I'm dying over here. Okay. Jeez. Oh, that was great.
John Wilkes Booth.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a great transition into the subject for tonight.
Oh, Lord.
For those of you that don't know, there is indeed a conspiracy theory surrounding the assassin, or possible not assassin, John Wilkes Booth.
Nope, wrong one. There we go.
Okay.
Let's get some background music on that bit.
Okay. So if you've been living under a rock for your entire life and don't know who John Wilkes Booth is, that's the guy who assassinated President Lincoln.
Jeez.
In Ford's Theater. And
That is not the conspiracy.
that's not the conspiracy. That is 100%. That is the tale of the tape. Went up to him while they're watching a show. What a horrible way to just go while you're watching theater. Just goes up to him,
Not
one
even real
shot,
TV.
boom, just done. Takes him out. Real JFK style. But that was actually multiple bullets. So I find it interesting that, well, no, because it wasn't JFK. And JFK, he was Democrat, right?
Yeah, he was Democrat.
Oh, you know what I completely forgot to look up? I completely forgot to look up the tie-ins between JFK and Lincoln.
We got time. We'll pull that up at the end. So let me set the stage here.
Go for it.
There was a group of conspirators who were planning something big. And on the morning of April 14th, 1865, which was a Good Friday. I mean, not for Lincoln, but
Not
it was
for Lincoln.
It was Good Friday. Actor John Wilkes Booth learned that President Abraham Lincoln would be attending a performance of the comedy Our American Cousin that night at Ford Theater, which was a theater that Booth frequently performed at. He realized his moment had arrived, and by 10:15 that evening, the comedy was well into its last act. In the presidential box, President and Mrs. Lincoln and their guest, Major Henry Rathbone, and his fiancée, Clara Harris, laughed at the show along with the audience, not knowing that Booth was just outside the door.
I got a comment I want to make just real quick. Why is it that it seems like not all of them are like this, but like, do you ever think about what life could have been like if like the good ones were never assassinated?
Yeah,
like the solid good ones obviously were never assassinated.
Things would be different. Things would be different. So John Wilkes Booth likely hands his calling card to Charles Forbes, the president's messenger, who's seated outside the door and enters the vestibule of the box. Booth hides there, just steps from the president, waiting. Some of the witness testimonies are on. If you go on the Ford Theater's website, they have a lot of this in detail. Some of these witness testimonies and stuff. Let's see. This is J.P. Ferguson, I think it is.
Story of a girl. What?
He said, somewhere near 10 o'clock during the second scene of the third act of Our American Cousin, I saw Booth pass along near the president's box and then stop and lean against the wall. After standing there a moment, I saw him step down one step, put his hands on the door and his knee against it, and push the door open. The first door that goes into the box. Let's see. Alone on stage, actor Henry Hawk delivers the funniest line of the play, and the audience erupted in laughter. Actress Jenny Gourlay said that Booth evidently took advantage of my lines to make his way into the box in which President Lincoln sat. My lines were very interesting and at a dramatic point in the play, so the attention of the whole audience was centered on me. Harry Hawk, who was on stage, said, said his line. That's just his line that he was saying. We don't need to redo it. Okay, here we go. He said, just as I had finished these lines and was standing towards the front of the president's box, the shot was fired. The report startled me somewhat, but as the report was muffled, I thought it came from the property room of the theater. I turned, looked up at the president's box. I saw a man with a long dagger in front of the box. James Ferguson, who's an audience member, said, at the moment the president was shot, he was leaning his hand on the railing, looking down at a person in the orchestra, holding the flag that decorated the box aside to look between it and the post. I saw a flash of the pistol in the right back of the box as the person jumped over and lit on stage. I saw that it was Booth. Let's see. So, let's see. W.J. Ferguson, who's a stagehand, said an instant after he was at the box railing, mounting in preparation for jumping on the stage, Major Rathbone seized him by the coat from behind. The assassin wore a sack suit of dark-colored material. Feeling himself held back, he slashed behind him with his knife. Major Rathbone's wrist was cut, as I learned within a few minutes. And Ferguson, the audience member, said, I saw no more of him until he made a rush for the front of the box and jumped over. He put his left hand on the railing, and with his right, he seemed to strike back with the knife. I could see the knife gleam, and the next moment he was over the box. As he went over, his hand was raised, the handle of the knife up, the blade down. Yep.
Wow.
So Booth leaps, jumps over the railing onto the stage, catching his spur on the Treasury Guard flag adorning the front. He lands awkwardly, likely breaking his leg. And then he did have a statement. Booth then flashes his bloody dagger on stage. The surprised Harry Hawk flees into the wings. Booth yells, "Sic semper tyrannis," or "Thus always to tyrants. Tyrannosaurus."
Right.
And then he yells, "The South is avenged."
Racist.
Yeah. He dragged himself up on one knee and was slashing around as someone who was crazy and desperate, saying, "The South shall be free." The man turned his face in the direction I stood, and I recognized him as John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, you know, that made things like worse for their cause. Like,
Yeah.
How do you think that was gonna go?
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna refuel the love for the South. No, I'm pretty sure it made it worse. Like, I'm pretty sure it made it worse. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is, Tom. There might be. We just we like to just have random topics, so it's not really a series for us. But we decide the week of, like, hey, what are we gonna talk about?
No, there was a series, movie. Though. There's a movie about this. Then there was there was like a mini series or something like that.
I know that the guy who plays Morpheus in The Matrix, they had a history TV show with him, and this is one of the things they discussed. But that was a part of like what we talked about earlier, where they would disprove certain things. Yeah. I don't want to get into it now because we're going to talk about it later.
This is kind of cool. Fun fact.
Yeah, no, that is really cool. I was reading that too. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just...
No, you're good.
My thoughts.
So anyway, John Wilkes Booth then ran off the stage and out the back door. He and his co-conspirators tried to make a break for it, and I think some of them got caught, except for the naughty boy.
Old Luke.
After assassinating Abraham Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth fled Ford's Theater and went on the run. His escape continued for 12 days and covered over 90 miles through the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia.
Jeez.
So I've got this timeline of what he was doing for those 12 days, which is it's actually kind of interesting to see the actual escape that he did. It's called Manhunt miniseries. Yeah. So Friday, April 14th, John Wilkes Booth assassinated President Lincoln at Ford's Theater and fled via Baptist Alley behind the theater. Booth rode on horseback down to Pennsylvania Avenue and 11th Street to the Navy Yard Bridge. The actor escaped the city by talking his way across the closed bridge, as the sentries had not yet heard about the assassination. Booth met up with his co-conspirator, David Harold, in Maryland. The two men proceeded to the Surratt Tavern in Surrattsville, which is now Clinton, Maryland, arriving just after midnight on April 15th. Booth may have fallen from his horse and broke his left fibula during this ride, if he had not already broke it jumping onto the stage at Ford Theater. So there's two instances where he potentially broke his leg, but it is known that he did break his leg. That's important to know.
Yes.
Is that he broke his left leg. And then Saturday, April 15th, John Wilkes Booth and David Harold arrived at the Surratt Tavern just after midnight. They retrieved supplies hidden for them at the tavern, including guns and field glasses. Booth told the tavern keeper, John Lloyd, that he had assassinated the president that night. Needing a physician to treat his broken leg, Booth and Harold sought out Dr. Samuel Mudd, a local doctor involved in Booth's previous plan to kidnap Abraham Lincoln. So this is where a lot of the conspirators were, or would meet up, was the Surratt Tavern. Now, side note, Samuel Mudd's house, I guess, is supposed to be haunted. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mudd set Booth's leg and allowed the assassin to rest at his home while he went into the nearby town for supplies. Upon hearing of the assassination, Dr. Mudd returned home and forced Booth and Harold to leave his property. The two men set off for Rich Hill, the home of Confederate sympathizer Samuel Cox, but they soon got lost in the dangerous Zika swamp. Booth and Harold stumbled upon the cabin home of a freed black man named Oswald Swan, whom they agreed to pay in exchange for guiding them to Cox's home as darkness fell. Sunday, April 16th, which is Easter Sunday, John Wilkes Booth and David Harold, guided by a free black man named Oswald Swan, arrived at Rich Hill, the home of Confederate sympathizer Samuel Cox. The conspirators paid Swan $12 for his assistance and spent a brief amount of time inside the plantation home. Cox escorted Booth and Harold out of the house before sunrise and sent them with his overseer, Franklin Roby, to a pine thicket 2 miles away. Cox contacted his foster brother, Confederate agent Thomas Jones, for help getting Booth and Harold across the Potomac River. Jones met Booth and Harold in the pine thicket, agreeing to bring them supplies until he could safely convey them across the river. The assassin spent the first of 4 nights sleeping in the woods. So, those 3 nights in the woods, April 17th, 18th, and 19th, Booth and Harold hid in the pine thicket near Belle and Alton, Maryland, waiting for an opportunity to cross the Potomac. Thomas Jones supplied the men with food and newspapers. Booth may have written an entry in his diary describing his thoughts on the assassination. There's a link on this website for more on Booth's journal and the text of what he wrote while he was on the run, which I'm going to copy the link.
Do it.
And for anybody later on, if you want to check out what he wrote in his journal, there's the link right there. So you guys get a little something from us.
Yeah.
And if we have time later on, maybe we'll read it. I don't know. Thursday, April 20th. As John Wilkes Booth and David Harold continued hiding in the pine thicket, Confederate agent Thomas Jones learned that soldiers and detectives were focusing on St. Mary's County to the south. Jones visited Booth and Harold and told them to prepare to cross the Potomac River into Virginia that night. The 3 men stopped briefly at Jones's home in Huckleberry before proceeding to a 12-foot fishing boat hidden on the banks of the Potomac. Jones gave Harold an oar and gave Booth a compass, a candle, and an oar for steering. Booth thanked Jones for his help and paid him for the boat. Jones pushed the Booth and Harold off into the river on a foggy night with light wind. I don't know why that was in there.
So it was a slow ride down the river.
Slow ride
Down the river. What?
I'm on the move.
Something like that.
Rhythm's right. All right. So Friday and Saturday, which is April 21st and 22nd, as John Wilkes Booth and David Harold attempted to paddle across the Potomac River to Virginia in the dead of night, they became lost and veered off course.
Whoops.
Idiots. When day broke, the two men found themselves still in Maryland, about 9 miles upriver from where they had started. So, I'm guessing they went backwards.
We take a left or a right? I don't know. Go the other way.
Well, there's just back.
Yeah, no kidding.
Harold knew the area from various hunting
Hey,
trips. Yeah.
he's an actor. He's not the best at directions.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Backstage, front stage.
Womp womp.
Anyways.
So Harold knew the area from various hunting trips and found the way to Indiantown, or I guess Indiantown Farm, leased by a friend of his, John J. Hughes. Hughes offered food and a small unused house for the men to rest in, which they did for the remainder of the day. John Wilkes Booth wrote in his diary that night about how he had been hunted like a dog and now found himself here in despair, looked upon as a common cutthroat for his actions.
You killed the frickin' president. What do you expect? You dumb ass. Like, what do you expect? Oh, I feel like people would treat me with respect now that I've killed the president. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Come on, guys. Lighten up.
It's nobody, right? Like, hey,
I thought we all wanted this. Did we all want this?
Right.
Where is everybody? Where the hell did y'all go?
ah, thought process. Can't talk right now. Anyways.
After resting at the Indiantown farm in Maryland during the day, John Wilkes Booth and David Harold set off on their second attempt to row across the Potomac River in the night. This attempt was successful, and the man landed in Virginia early the next morning.
Yeah, just don't turn around, bud. Just all we gotta do is just sit straight. I
All
wonder if like whoever it was, like that, like obviously one of them's probably sleeping, one's rowing, or whatever.
They're probably both rowing on the left side. All right, guys.
Keep going. We got this.
This fog, I can't see shit.
God. Dude.
Are we there? I think we touched land.
Like how stupid.
I don't know.
Anyways.
So John Wilkes Booth and David Harold successfully rowed across the river, landing at the mouth of Gambo Creek. They sought out the home of Miss Elizabeth Quisenberry, a Southern sympathizer recommended to them by Thomas Jones, the Confederate agent. Miss Quisenberry offered the men food, but no further help. He was probably like, I killed the president. You want to sleep with me? Hell no.
Right? Like, ugh.
You ever been with a man that killed the president? I did. No big deal.
What?
The two conspirators linked up with Confederate agents Thomas Harbin and William Bryant. They're hooking up with all these guys, man. I don't know. Maybe gay.
He is a
Bryant.
thespian. Just saying. Those theater folk.
Oh, yeah. Thespians.
Yeah, I said thespian.
Bryant brought Booth and Harold to Cladle? I don't know.
Cladle.
The home of Southern
Virginia.
sympathizer Richard Stewart. And then left them there. Stewart offered the men.
First with Jimmy Stewart, not Richard Stewart, but that's pretty good.
No, I thought it was Stewart from,
from
Mad TV.
Saturday Night Live. Or yeah, you're right, Mad TV. Jeez,
Stewart, look what I could do. I can see that now. Like just making fun of John Wilkes Booth. He's like, look what I can do. Jumps off the balcony.
Oh my God.
Breaks his leg.
Idiot.
Oh.
He's probably my favorite in
He's great.
in Mad TV. Love that. Love it. So funny.
I wish Andy McDonald and Will Ferrell did a movie together. That would have
Oh,
been amazing.
Andy,
could still
I
happen.
would say Andy McDonald's like one of those very underrated actors. Unfortunately,
Yes.
so
Very
funny.
underrated. All right. So Stewart offered the men food, but no further help again.
Of course.
And had to chase down Bryant to take Booth and Harold off of his hands. It's like, you fucking brought these guys to my house?
Like, you gotta. No, you take him, not me.
Yeah. Bryant took Booth and Harold to the nearby cabin of free black man William Lucas and his family. Angry at the day's events, Booth threatened William Lucas at knife point and kicked.
Man, a guy who killed the president for the South is taken to a free man, free black man's house. Man, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, I killed the president. You know, the one that freed all of you?
Yeah.
I killed him.
Yeah. I did this for you guys.
What kind of thought process is that? Guys, they'll never think about looking for me at a black guy's house, I swear.
Probably true.
Gosh. Wow.
So yeah, he threatened Lucas at knife point and kicked the Lucas family out of their home.
Oh.
Booth and Harold slept in the family cabin that night.
He was a racist.
Yep. After kicking the Lucas family out of their home and spending the night in it, John Wilkes Booth and Harold hired Charlie Lucas to give them a wagon ride to the Rappahannock.
We're going to kick you out of your house, but you better give us a wagon ride.
I'll pay you. Paid him for a wagon ride to the Rappahannock River at Port Conway. At the ferry crossing, they met 3 Confederate soldiers: Mortimer Ruggles, Absalom Bainbridge, and Willie Jett. I do not want to have to say their names again. David Harold revealed John Wilkes Booth's identity to a stunned Jett. The men rowed across the river on the ferry together, and Jett sought accommodations for Booth and Harold in Port Royal, Virginia. The two were not allowed to stay at the home of Randolph Peyton, as only his 2 unmarried sisters were home. So Jett took Booth and Harold down the road to the farm of Richard Garrett. John Wilkes Booth was allowed to stay at the Garrett farm under the pseudonym of John W. Boyd, and the alibi of being a former Confederate soldier, while David Harold proceeded to the next town, Bowling Green, with the soldiers. Booth played with the Garrett children and slept the night in the farmhouse. The next day, on the 25th, John Wilkes Booth enjoyed a relaxing morning at the Richard Garrett farm, eating breakfast and playing with the Garrett children. David Harold returned from Bowling Green in the afternoon, and soon followed by Mortimer Ruggles and Bainbridge. Ruggles and Bainbridge reported Union cavalry approaching, causing Booth to flee and hide in the nearby woods while Harold kept watch. Seeing this incident, Richard Garrett's son, Jack, a former Confederate soldier, became suspicious of the 2 men. That night, Booth and Harold were told to sleep in the tobacco barn, as Jack suspected that they may be horse thieves. The conspirators were locked in the barn, while Jack and another Garrett son slept in the nearby corn crib. In Bowling Green, Union soldiers found and interrogated Willie Jett, who had brought Booth and Harold to the Garrett farm. Jett agreed to lead the soldiers to the assassin.
Well, that was easwant
Yeah. Where is he? Oh, he's over there.
I'll take you to him. Come on.
Well, you don't want to struggle. You don't want to make.
Nah, he's an asshole.
I mean, for sake
He
of
did kill the
argument.
president. I mean,
Well, all right. You got me there. I could just see this playing out like in a Monty Python skit.
totally.
That would be a cool show, though. Like Monty Python redoes, like,
The events of John Wilkes Booth.
yeah.
God, that'd be unfortunate. Just like a comedic take on the last days of John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bit sensitive?
I don't know. You did kill somebody.
That's fine.
Like
He
the
did kill
president.
somebody. Yeah.
All right. So, Wednesday, April 26th, at approximately 2 a.m., detectives and Union soldiers of the 16th New York Cavalry arrived at the Richard Garrett farm. The soldiers roughed up Richard Garrett before his
Yes.
son, Jack.
Yes, Josh. Yes.
Yes. What? Let me see.
He said Mel Brooks should direct it.
Yes.
100%.
100%. I was just thinking about having Jack Black in it too. I'm like, The soldiers roughed up Richard Garrett before his son, Jack, ran over and told the men that the fugitives were hiding in the tobacco barn. Soldiers surrounded the barn and demanded the surrender of John Wilkes Booth and David Harold. Booth requested the chance to have a shootout with the soldiers, which they denied. I guess he wanted to be, civil about it.
Or just trying to think of stuff to do.
Time out. Ran out of bullets. Under direction from Detective Everton Conger, the soldiers lit the barn on fire to force Booth and Harold to come out. Harold surrendered and was pulled out of the barn, as Booth called him a coward. I mean, Booth tried in vain to stamp out the flames and seemed to be preparing his gun. Despite orders not to kill the assassin, Sergeant Boston Corbett fired one bullet that passed through John Wilkes Booth's neck, severing his spinal cord and paralyzing him from the neck down.
Neck shot. Nice.
Conger and others rushed into the barn and pulled Booth out, attempting to interrogate him. Booth could barely speak and was dragged onto the porch of the Garrett farmhouse. A doctor summoned to the home concluded that Booth would soon die. In his final hours, Booth said, "Tell my mother I'd die for my country." And after asking for the soldiers to raise his hands so he could see them, he said, "Useless. Useless." The assassin died around 7:15 a.m.
Serves him right.
His body was loaded onto a wagon and taken to the steamship John S. Ide, where it would be transported back to Washington, D.C. for identification and an autopsy.
Speaking of autopsy, guess I didn't know who that was. I was looking up Boston Corbin.
Corbett?
Corbett, yeah, not Corbett, not Corbin. Jesus. So, I guess shall we get into the
Conspiracy part?
the conspiracies?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have. I don't even know where to begin. Sorry.
I don't know where to begin.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's how it goes. So Lieutenant Sergeant Charlie Manager and the two soldiers dragged the body from the inferno. But really, was it John? So this article I have is from a website called Unsolved, and a historian named Nate Orlowick doesn't think that it is John Wilkes Booth who they pulled from the barn.
Okay.
It says there is a tremendous physical evidence that proved beyond a doubt that John Wilkes Booth in reality was not killed by the federal government, as they claimed. In fact, he lived until January 13th, 1903, when he died in Enid, Oklahoma Territory. So, with that story, we're going to get into some interesting, very interesting storytelling. So, at approximately 10:30 a.m. on January 13th, 1903, the Grand Avenue Hotel in Enid, the Screaming Eagle of Dalet Elu George, who occupied room number 4, who brought others to his side, according to an account written by Oklahoma Historical Society. The January 17th, 1903 edition of the Enid Daily Wave reported that George stated to the attendants rushing to his deathbed that he was actually John Wilkes Booth. He had successfully eluded the officers pursuing him after assassinating President Abraham Lincoln, and had since been living incognito for many years. By the way, I'm reading from another article, and this actually comes from the Enid News and Eagle, which is the town paper of Enid. Oklahoma. So, Other news reports stated that George made the deathbed confession after taking a lethal dose of strychnine. Strychnine. Cool. Yep. Didn't know what it was called. The Eden Morning News of January 14th, 1903 read, "From Frank Corey, drug clerk at Waitress Harley's. Waitress Harley's. It was learned that the deceased purchased 15 grains of strychnine. No doubt can exist that demise. Was premeditated, and the poison was self-administered." Now here's where it gets really weird. The body was overturned to W.P. Penniman's undertaking, where the story and the body of George would take another life. The reports of George's alleged confession and suicide intrigued the community. Thousands of people came to see the body. Penniman had so many people coming through his building, he decided to sit the corpse in a chair and tie him to it. Then put a newspaper in his lap, and he placed the body in a storefront window for onlookers to view. Anybody want to see that picture?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Let's
Do it.
Let's
Do
pull
it.
up then, shall we? It's just as weird. Why would you do this? I don't know. I just don't understand. Why? Throwing.
Tell me why.
There we go.
Is it
Got
the one that I had?
Maybe.
For the comparison? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the embalmed body of supposed John Wilkes Booth. Supposed, I say. Isn't that
Or-
just weird?
Shall we call him David E. George?
George. Yeah, exactly. It's just so interesting and disgusting at the same time.
Yes.
All right. I don't understand. So I guess they're cool with that because then they take photos of their dead relatives, like them next to their dead relatives. No thanks. Just
Oh, it gets
No.
weirder, Cassie. It gets weirder.
yeah, much weirder. So let's keep going with that. Enid did not have time to douse the flames erupting from David E. George before hearing George's name was really John St. Helen. The man's attorney, Finis L. Bates, came to Enid from Memphis, Tennessee, where he identified George as his friend John St. Helen. Yeah, he showed Penniman. What?
So, can I jump in right there?
Yeah, sure.
Because I have this thing about Finis Bates here.
Sure.
So Finis Bates is actually the one that brought up this whole conspiracy of John Wilkes Booth not being killed by the Union Army. He was an author of the book The Escape and Suicide of John Wilkes Booth in 1907. So let me go into, according to The Escape and Suicide of John Wilkes Booth, in 1873, Bates met John St. Helen, a liquor and tobacco merchant in Granbury, Texas. The man had a particular tendency towards the theatrical and could recite Shakespeare from memory. Bates and St. Helen cultivated a friendship over 5 years. In 1878, St. Helen became ill, stating, "I am dying. My name is John Wilkes Booth, and I am the assassin of President Lincoln. Get the picture of myself from under the pillow. I leave it with you for my future identification. Notify my brother Edwin Booth of New York City." And this is where I find this funny. St. Helen later recovered and explained in greater detail.
Oh, I guess I didn't die. Well,
Like, whoopsie daisy.
dodge death again.
Turns out it was just a common cold.
Yeah.
Swine flu. I don't know. He later recovered and explained in greater detail that the leader of the conspiracy to assassinate Lincoln was Vice President Andrew Johnson.
What?
And the identity of the man mortally wounded in the Garrett tobacco barn by Thomas Corbett was a plantation overseer by the name of Rudy St. Helen, or by the name of Ruddy.
Yeah.
St. Helen, or / Booth, had asked Ruddy to fetch his papers, which had fallen out of his pocket while crossing the river. Ruddy was able to retrieve Booth's paper, and while still in possession of them, Rudy Ruddy, was mortally wounded in the garret barn, thus leading his captors to believe that he was Booth. Shortly thereafter, St. Helen moved on to Leadville, Colorado to pursue mining, and Bates moved to Memphis, losing track of St. Helen.
Yeah. And so it had been about 20 years had passed before Bates examined the body of George in the presence of Penniman and his assistant. George's height, weight, age, and appearance matched up with Booth. His leg had a fracture of the shin bone 6 inches above the ankle. He had a high thumb joint on the right hand, and the same as Booth. He had a small scar on his right eyebrow, and it was uneven just like Booth. It was caused by a sword duel in a play. The Enid Weekly Wave of June 11, 1903 reported the long-awaited decision by the people of Enid. The identification of the remains of David E. George as those of J. Wilkes Booth by descendants of the Booth family is prima facie evidence that Booth was not killed in Virginia, but that he had lived and they knew it. The remains are now under the control of the Booth family with burial in Baltimore. The corpse sitting in the armchair, cured as well as swift ham placed in a burial case, was shipped to the Booth family. Give me a second. However, another new chapter began for the mummy of David E. George. Instead of shipping George to the Booth family, Bates allegedly began renting the body out to carnivals, state fairs, and midways as the corpse of John Wilkes Booth. What?
Yep.
It was even displayed at the St. Louis World Fair in 1904. My God.
Come take a look at this.
Right?
Come take a look at
It's
this.
John Wilkes Booth, the guy who killed the president.
Anyways, after Bates died in 1923, his wife sold the corpse to William Evans, the carnival king of the Southwest. The mummy later became part of Jay Gould's $1 Million Circus. In 1931, the mummy was on tour of Chicago, where a team of 6 doctors x-rayed the mummy, revealing a head ankle fracture and a deformed right thumb, and an x-ray of the stomach had revealed a ring with the letter B. Don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Noted Maryland educator and historian Nate Booth. Historian Nate Orlowek reported that the last known viewing of George's mummy was in the 1970s in New Hope, Pennsylvania. The most compelling fact is that George St. Helen related to the Bates details of the botched plan to kidnap Lincoln that would have been known by Booth, but which weren't released from government records until 1935 after Bates's death. That's interesting. Evidence provides possible conclusion. Edward Collimore, what?
And Zach
Were you just
Bagans
reading?
doesn't have this in his museum?
What? Right, I know. That's what a missed opportunities.
Yes.
Edward Collimore, a veteran reporter of the Philadelphia Inquirer, reported on applying 21st century technology to track 19th century assassin. In 2018, examinations and analysis were made of 3 photographic images: a man named John St. Helen from 1877, the embalmed corpse of David E. George from 1903, and a photo of John Wilkes Booth taken in 1865, not 19.
I
Photo
put the side-by-side up.
You did?
Yeah, it's up.
Perfect.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look at the similarities. Just saying, it's pretty staggering. Can be. Anyways, photo recognition software is not as definitive as DNA, but is widely used by law enforcement agencies. Facial characteristics can be like a fingerprint. After researchers obtained the best images available, they fed them into a high-resolution scanner with 5,000 other white males to begin a process to meticulously analyze the faces for similarities, such as the spaces between the eyes, the jaw lines, the shapes of the nose, and the cheekbones. In less than 1 minute, results came back that left the researchers stunned. The data showed that the 3 photographs just picked out of 5,003 photographs, St. Helen, George, and Booth, were the same man. George's photo was nearly a perfect match to Booth's, within top 1% of those bearing similar facial structures, said researchers who worked with the creator of the New York Police Department's first facial recognition unit. Even more amazing, George was within 1 pixel of having the same exact eye structure as Booth. Reporter Collimore believes, based on the preponderance of the evidence that Booth did indeed escape. This is a direct quote. This is the first time any independent scientific test has been performed to try to settle this controversy, said Orloak, who had been on the trail of George and his true identity for 50 years. This high-tech test has determined there is a 99.9% likelihood that Enid's David E. George is John Wilkes Booth. Now, history needs to be rewritten. That's the end of that article. That's phenomenal. That was just published back in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Or no, it was published back in 2019. Oh, you know what? That's why they had COVID. You know what? That's what it was.
So
Keep this information from coming out. Yes, I'm gonna have a stroke. Leave me alone.
So on the other side of the
Can't
coin,
talk.
though,
Jesus.
I forget the name of the show.
I got it right here. History's Greatest Mysteries.
Yeah. So throughout the show, they did DNA tests with descendants of
Yes.
David George.
Well,
And-
DNA tests and handwriting tests.
And handwriting comparison analysis,
Yes.
which proved otherwise, that it is not, that David George is not, or that they are not of the John Wilkes Booth descent.
I'll read the theories. John Wilkes Booth fathered children with Isola Martha Mills, both before and after his supposed death, and separate claim that John Wilkes Booth escaped and fathered a child and bore his name. So there's a clip of stuff, but I'll go over what they say. First, a handwritten expert looked at the notarized document, which stated only at the end that David E. George claimed to have been John Wilkes Booth just before his death. The expert concluded that the document had been altered and the sentence describing George's so-called confession was added after the original had been notarized. The same expert also compared David E. George's signature to known examples of John Wilkes Booth's handwriting and found that they did not match. Next, the show used DNA from a descendant of Jane Booth Mitchell, Junius Brutus Booth's sister, in order to see if various descendants of Martha Isola Mills are related to Booth family. It was established that Booth descendants and the Mills descendants are not related. Then a similar comparison was done to a descendant who claimed John Wilkes Booth as her great-great-grandfather. Her father's name was John Wilkes Booth III and was actually interviewed by members of the Surratt Society in 1980s. It was found that this descendant was also not related to the family of John Wilkes Booth.
Doesn't that suck? If you're the
does suck.
third, and like you find out,
Turns
damn it.
out it's not true.
Yeah.
Go figure. So, in one fell swoop, history's greatest mysteries actually did a huge favor to legitimize history by publicly discrediting these conspiracy theories. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now they need to go back and disprove the pictures. Because they disproved the DNA and the handwriting, but there's no mention of the pictures here.
What they need to do is draw the DNA off of David George, and well, I guess you can't really, draw the DNA from George, I think it is, and compare it with these Booth descendants instead of.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Of the actual known family or all of the DNA?
Of the actual known family. And
is that not what they did? Was that they took the DNA from George?
I don't think they took the DNA from George. They took it from known Booth
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
people, but this would definitively say whether or not George was Booth.
George was John Wilkes Booth.
Now I know there was talks about them, like I think twice now they've wanted to dig up the body, to exhume the body and do a DNA test, but it's been shot down by the courts because the courts were saying that doing so would desecrate the body, like it would damage the body. But what
He doesn't need an arm.
Yeah, but what they're wanting to do is not dig up the body. They just want to drill into him and take the piece out, and it would not damage the body. So that's something
perfect.
that they're actively trying to get.
So like
approved.
ice drilling.
Yeah,
Like
core
body
drilling. Yeah, they're going to core drill him.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so I mean that's something that they're actively trying to do now. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out, because we all know that things happen.
Oh yeah.
People get away. and then or things continue.
Well, see, but here's the thing: how would he have? Would he have left the barn? Like, how would he escaped?
Well, that's what he was saying. The George, when he did his deathbed confession as Helen, Saint Helen, was that the farmhand, he went to retrieve his papers and was in the barn with his papers whenever the cavalry showed up, and he was the one that got killed, and they just said it was Booth because he had his papers on him.
So they didn't try to match up what the guy looked like?
Apparently not.
That's really freaking stupid. Unless
Did
the guy
you-
was burnt to a crisp like Hitler.
Well, he wasn't burnt to a crisp, but they shot him in the neck. From what I've read, where they shot him, and that piece of spine is actually in the museum right now.
Yeah, but what they...
But they said he should not have been able to talk. So like
Right.
his last words,
Right.
he didn't have last
That's
words.
exactly what I was about to say.
This is from the museum. They said he did not have any last words. He wasn't able to talk. Where he was shot, he could not move or anything.
It was
His
all
his head felt like he knew he was dying the whole time.
Yeah, like
and
you
he
snap that
lasted for
spine,
2
you're just-
hours. Yeah, and
you're
then
just dead. Like,
and then
essentially.
after that, they didn't even like store his body. They just like took it to the shipyard, and it took them a couple days before they even shipped it out. Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, these military men have no idea what John Wilkes Booth looks like? They pull out some farmhand that doesn't look like John Wilkes. Yeah, it's the guy. It's his papers. It's him.
Yeah.
And then there's just like some other guy comes out of the barn. No, I'm just a hand. I was a hostage, or a range hand. I was a hostage.
Well, let's think about this in the world of conspiracy.
Did
Let's
the range
be
hand have a broken leg?
put on your tinfoil hats here for a moment.
I already got it on. What?
All right. So what if our government did things to certain people and then took those patsies and hid them from the rest of the world? And then
That
just
sounds
told
like
us
something that our government would do.
and just told us, yeah, we were successful in finding them and killing them.
Like what they do with all, like how they don't want to admit that there's UAPs in the sky because, I mean, they've already admitted it, but for years they didn't want to admit it. They didn't want to admit it because that would prove distrust and, oh yeah, we can't control this and we don't know what the heck they are.
They don't want to tell us that Vikings were in North America before Christopher Columbus. Why? Because that would rewrite history.
I know, right?
Or what about the cave in the Grand Canyon that was
Oh, yeah.
full of Chinese treasure?
Yeah.
So
Lots of things that our government doesn't want us to know about.
The giants from the Smithsonian.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm sure there's
Catalina Island?
just like the gosh darn it, just like the Vatican. I'm sure the government has its own treasure vault of history. Because I think that the burning of the Library of Alexandria was actually a cover to take all the documents from the Library of Alexandria. Because there's no way Julius Caesar would let that happen. There's no way.
I mean, if you believe that Hitler did commit suicide in the bunker and didn't show up in South America,
Right.
I mean, then you would definitely believe that John Wilkes Booth was assassinated.
Because,
killed.
the government has our best interest in mind.
Yeah. But I do think that he was killed, personally. I hope.
I do too.
Yeah.
I
Too
hope
many
he
hands
was.
point towards it, but
But it is interesting, the photographic evidence, though.
it is interesting. But then again, I mean, like Morty says, everybody's got their twin. Eh?
Hey.
That's your assassination twin.
Now I know if I need a cover up. Boom.
Blame him.
Apparently, the people see my doppelganger, like, not all the time, but every now and then. I saw somebody that looked like you.
Only when you
Oh,
wear your
yeah,
assless chaps.
Jesus. Somewhere in an alternate universe, maybe, but not
Got
here.
your doppelganger hanging out.
Not here today. Is that what we're calling it now?
That's what we're calling it.
Do your
I'd like to
doppelganger
introduce you
hang
to-
low. Sit waterfall to the floor. What?
Let me introduce you to Mini-Me.
No. Is it true what they say? It's like a kickstand? That's such a good one. But
It's like a Baby John
something we
holding
were
an
going to
apple.
talk about, and I actually looked it up. So, odd parallels between Kennedy and Lincoln. So both presidents were shot in the back of the head on the Friday before a major holiday while seated beside their wives, neither of whom were injured. Both were in the presence of another couple, and in each case, the man was also wounded by the assassination. After both assassinations, there were loud and insistent claims that the fatal shot must have come from a different direction. Each president in his 30s married a socially prominent 24-year-old girl who spoke French fluently. That's interesting. While in the White House, each president had a family of 3 children, and both lost a child through death. Both Lincoln and Kennedy were second children. Both had been boat captains. Both were related to a U.S. Senator, Attorney General, Ambassador to Great Britain, and Mayor of Boston. Each had been elected to Congress in the year 47 and were vice presidential runners up in the year 56. Each was elected president in the 60s. Wow. Before each were elected, a sister died. Both had friend named Billy Graham and knew an Adlai Stevenson. We're getting really specific. These are some that I've never even heard of. President Kennedy had a secretary named Mrs. Lincoln, and President Lincoln had a secretary named John Kennedy. What? I knew that one, but still. The names Lincoln and Kennedy each contain 7 letters. Okay. Both were succeeded by vice presidents named Johnson, Andrew born in 1808, and Lyndon born in 1908, both of whom had 13 letters in their names and 2 daughters. What the fluff? Both assassins have 15 letters in their name. Nice. Let's see. Booth shot Lincoln in theater and fled to a warehouse. Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and fled to a theater. Both assassins, in their turn, assassinated by shooters who used a Colt revolver and fired only 1 fatal shot. That's the ones they have. That's pretty interesting. A lot of weird connections.
Yes.
Oh.
I had something that popped in my head and I forgot it now.
Yeah, it wasn't. Never mind. That's not what happened to Kennedy or Lincoln. Or well, it had something did pop in their head and they forgot. Yeah, that's too soon. Is that too soon?
You know what's crazy is the fact that Abraham Lincoln didn't die right away. You know.
Oh yeah.
They took him.
Well,
to.
It wasn't a weaker round.
Huh?
Like it was.
No.
What kind of round was it?
Oh, the round that went into. Yeah, no, it didn't go all the way through his head.
So it scrambled around.
There was
probably 22.
Trying to think what they're called.
Derringers?
No, there was a photographer staying in the same house. They took Lincoln's body to a house. He didn't die in the White House because everybody always talks about Lincoln haunting it. So
yeah, he didn't.
They assume that he died there. Let me pull.
Yeah, he did die the next morning, Jerry. You're right.
The photographer actually took a picture. This photo. Let me see if did I already save it?
I don't know. Did you save it?
I'm gonna look. But this one was actually, yeah, I did. Okay. So this photo was actually saved. It was taken on, what is it? I forgot what it's called. It's where they have the glass with the photo on it. Like it was the last time it was ever used was in the 1860s. But this photographer was allowed to take 2 photos of Lincoln in bed. And they say this one just popped up out of nowhere, though. They didn't know about this photo.
Oh.
And this one came up out of nowhere, and they did a photo analysis. And there's a 77% chance that this is Lincoln. And it's kind of an eerie photo. There it is.
Oh. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
Is that before death or as he's dying?
Dying.
After death or as he's dying? Not before death or as
I think it's as he's dying. Because some of the descriptions I read, like you can see from his eyes, they're caught, like he's out of it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It's brain dead activity.
Yeah. Especially his right eye there. But the way his eye is setting is like how the bullet would have entered it, and it would have inflamed and did all that. But yeah. So interesting stuff. Can you imagine having that sit in your attic and one day you just pull it out like, what the?
Nope.
Man. It's crazy.
Nope. Could not imagine. I would want to die instantly. I would not want to be sitting there with a bullet in my head.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
rather go
history's
the
full of
JFK route.
mysteries, guys. And honestly, like, I'm not surprised that conspiracy theories continually pop up in history. And, you know, they're proving history wrong all the time. And
Yeah, because there's so much distrust in the mainstream view that we're given. Because the mainstream view that we're giving the mainstream view that is given to us is to keep us complacent and keep us just going, right? If we were to find out that, I don't know, our government had a possible hand in assassinating one of its own presidents, you think the people would trust the government for too long? No, not at all.
I mean, the winners write history. So
They really do. And, I mean, shoot, it goes back to the weather manipulation. For years, they were like, that's crazy. That's not possible. Oh, it's absolutely possible.
100% possible.
Cloud seeding. It's
I mean,
100% a thing.
You've been doing that since like the
100% thing.
1930s or something like that.
Exactly.
Since we could fly.
UFOs, same thing. It's 100% real. 100% real. So it sows not discourse, but just distrust. Like, you don't know what to trust anymore, especially now in the days of AI and what all stuff can be created now.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell what's real, obviously. But you know, we're here for a short time, not a long time, but you still got to be able to figure out who you can or cannot trust at times. But keep an open mind, for sure. And don't listen blindly to certain things.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. Without hearing it from... Like, if you hear one person say, this person said so-and-so, and this is why you should hate him, maybe you should listen to the person that possibly said so-and-so to see if they even actually said it or not.
I have an interesting topic idea for next week.
All right.
I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's cicada. There's some numbers with it too. Fuck.
Cicada.
Yeah. Let me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. It's it was this internet group, very secretive internet group that was putting out these tests for people to try to solve online. And as you progress, it gave you clues for the next test and next test, and what they would literally do is whittle people down to like just a few, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. I'll share it with you after the show.
All right.
But not saying that's what we're gonna do, but
It's an idea.
We'll figure something out for next week. I like doing this show because like the John Wilkes Booth thing, because I love history.
Same.
Especially
Freaking
like
same.
Lincoln, like
Even though it's a series sometimes of unfortunate events.
yes.
But that's history. And if we don't learn from history and we forget history, we are doomed to repeat it, just like Rome when it fell.
Yep. So we'll figure out something for next week. Maybe something
Yeah,
paranormal.
absolutely.
Maybe something, I don't know. But I thank you guys for joining us tonight and listening to us. And I if you really are intrigued about this story, like, it's worth a deep dive. I posted the
It really
link.
is.
Posted the link for the journal if you want to check out
Yeah.
Booth's journal.
And it's not hard to find this information out there. You just got to find the right websites. That's it. It's really
Yeah.
not hard, though.
Yeah.
And
So-
yes, Jerry, they're all teachers don't teach real history anymore. They are told to They're told to teach.
I knew it.
Jesus,
I knew you were
can't-
going to say that.
Told to taught.
Do it.
That's the tongue twister. They are told to teach certain things, and they have to stay within those guidelines.
Yeah. They're given a plan,
Like, I don't even know if
teaching plan.
the Silk Road's even a thing. The what is it? No, the Trail of Tears. That's what I'm thinking of, not Silk Road. The Silk thing, that is a thing in history, but
No,
Trail
Trail
of
of Tears was a
Tears.
real thing.
yes. Oh, I don't know, but I'm saying, like, I don't know if they even still teach that anymore.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you. We'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Same
Hey,
time,
and if,
same
if you don't
place.
know, look up my name.
Dude, right, Cassie? It's not a stroke. It's a Monday, guys.